do it.
Welcome to Inspire Me with AlinaGG. And today I have a wonderful Lilli here from Hypnosis by Lilli. You're back again, second time.
Yes, I'm back again. It feels like forever since we did our first one. It got to be a couple years,
It's two
surely.
years. Yeah, definitely. It's 2 years,
Wow,
hey? And wow, I'd love to know
it's amazing.
yeah, what you've been up to in that time and how your business has changed. I've worked with you since
Yeah.
then, and you've been on your own journey, and I've seen you really quite active on Insta and social media, and you're really clear on your messaging. So I've been really enjoying
Oh,
watching your journey. Yeah.
thank you. Oh, I'm glad that it's clear because sometimes it feels very unclear with the whole social media world, but I'm
Yeah,
glad that comes across.
it does. Yeah.
Well, yeah, when we did our session, I was in an office
Mm-hmm.
in Noosa, and now I do it all of my sessions online,
Yeah.
which is kind of amazing. I found that even when I was in the office, like 90% of my business was online. So I was like, this is wasted rent. I'm not doing this anymore. So
Yeah, right. That makes
um
sense. Yeah.
yeah, and I love it. I'm traveling around Australia at the moment, working the whole time, which is really incredible. Um, and even the way that I do my sessions is different now. I think everything's kind of elevated to the next level, which has been really amazing. The results that my clients are getting these days is just so cool. So yeah, I'm feeling very, very good within my business at the moment and just very excited because it's the best feeling for me seeing how well my clients are doing. So it just makes me like so happy. I probably shouldn't be getting all my happiness out of them, but a lot of it I am
It's great.
because
It's great to be
yeah,
happy for others' success. I've always
yeah.
naturally been like that. And I'm always like kind of confused when people aren't like that. But then
Mm,
I was just reading in Ask and It Is Given, the Abraham
I
Hicks
love that
book
book.
off. And like I was just read a part that said that was like, yeah, so
Really?
that's great. Yeah, yeah, just that exact thing is like one of
Mm,
the keys to joy and success is being happy for others' success. I mean, yeah, it makes sense,
yeah.
I guess. And it puts you in that vibration no matter what else is going on around you. And yeah, so
Mm,
joy. Great. Here we are again. More joy. I think
yeah.
that was our
More
intention last
joy.
time we chatted
I
and
think it was. That's ringing a
yeah.
bell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yes.
is ringing a bell. That's
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's it, right? It's like the more that you can be happy for others, the more that you allow for others to be happy for you.
Hmm.
And it's kind of just this big, beautiful circle, I guess.
Yeah, right.
And it is about the vibration, I suppose, as well. I'm getting a lot more into that these days.
Hmm.
I guess the frequencies that we're living at, and trying to, that was kind of my word for this year, like high vibration, trying as much as possible to just keep it high.
Yeah,
um yeah, so I think that all like plays into it as well.
that's cool. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So today we were feeling into speaking about conscious relationships and
Mm.
soulmate relationships and
Mm.
all of that. So how do we begin?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, a lot of the work that I do, when it comes to relationships is, I guess it's kind of works, I guess, in two ways. So, um, people, I've worked a lot with people that constantly find themselves in the same relationship, but a different person. So,
Hmm.
same pattern, same, really everything about it, and getting into that same cycle of relationships that aren't actually, that good for them. So, I work with a lot of single people who are wanting to get into relationships, I guess, to clear some of those blocks. And then on the other side of it, I work a lot with people that are in relationships but really experiencing a lot of relationship anxiety slash it's a relationship OCD, really, um, because that is the more and more that I delve into it, and it's something that I've experienced personally within my relationship, um, relationship OCD is such a such a big thing in our society, but it's kind of labeled as like clingy or needy or, you know, all those kind of ugly words. But it's a real thing that a lot of people struggle with. So
Wow. Can you give me an
delving,
example?
yeah,
Yeah, like how
oh,
does it show up
absolutely,
and what does it feel like and what give me a scenario? Yeah.
totally. So when you're in that relationship anxiety, relationship OCD, um, you are basically constantly questioning if your partner's going to leave you. You're second guessing a lot of things that they say, reading into everything. You're almost like picking fights with your partner just to test their love. If I push them this far, will they stay? How far can I push them? Um, and it's, yeah, it's like this constant, because with OCD, it's very um, intrusive thoughts and compulsive behavior. So you've got the intrusive thoughts, and then you've got the compulsive reassurance seeking. So it's constantly seeking that reassurance. Do you love me? Do you love me? Are you going to leave me? That kind of thing. That and most of the time, it's when people are actually in a relationship with someone that is great, like really good for them. It's not, you know, a toxic relationship, but because it's so good and because it is, you know, it could be so healthy, they experience these self-sabotaging behaviors. Because I think part of us questions whether we deserve that or whether that's it's too good to be true and all these things. And it's often, in fact, the anxiety, the OCD that ruins the relationship as opposed to anything else.
Mm.
Um, so it's a huge one.
Yeah, I was going to
Um,
say, is there a connection there with self-worth, you know? And
oh
also, if
yeah,
someone's had like really numerous bad or toxic relationships,
mm,
it can be hard for people to just trust that love can be real and that, you
yeah,
know, someone has your best interests at heart, you know, all those things.
mm,
Like when you, yeah, if you don't really have many reference points of that in your life, it can be hard
mm,
to know that that's possible on an ongoing basis in a sustainable way.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
And
how,
it's
yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
it's like, you know, if if you've had a lot of evidence in your life that you are super lovable and people stay and all that kinds of things, you're probably not going to develop something like relationship anxiety because you probably have a very secure attachment style. Um, but if you have experiences in your past where you've been left or you've been blindsided, that's a big one. It can really carry on into our relationships. But you know, you don't have to come from, I guess, like a broken home to experiencing these types of feelings. Sometimes, you know, our mind just latches onto the smallest things when we're younger, and we take that to mean that we're not lovable long term. Um, and that's a big part of it. It's like a lot of people with these feelings question whether someone can love them long term. Like maybe they could love you for a little bit, but not forever, and that's a big fear there. So yeah, I work a lot with that, and it's um it's really interesting when you work with a client that's got that all like all the symptoms are the same. Everyone kind of experiences it very similarly, but it's something that just isn't really spoken about that much, I think, because there's a bit of shame there.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so what are some
Mm,
things people can do to help heal that and like really move beyond that? Is it increasing your self-esteem
mm,
and like addressing those things with the subconscious? And yeah.
absolutely, yeah. It's one, being aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are in that anxious state, it's very hard to look outside of it, and you kind of just have tunnel vision on the anxiety, and the consuming thoughts that it's very hard to gain an awareness. But that is really key. So, say you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, geez, like, maybe I have that.
Mm.
Just bring awareness to it when something does happen, and notice more and more where that's showing up in your life and how that's showing up and how often. That's the biggest key. And then the second thing would be getting to the bottom of it. It's oftentimes in these, say you're getting really angry at your partner a lot because things they say or whatever. A lot of the time when it is relationship anxiety, relationship OCD, the reaction that you have isn't in proportion to what actually is going on. So really recognizing that and understanding that there's something else that's not actually what your partner's just done most of the time, that it's something else that's fueling it. So any type of subconscious work that you do, obviously I recommend hypnotherapy, but things like maybe it's journaling for you, or whatever it is that helps you with that. It's really getting to the bottom of it and saying, okay, what's really going on here? Why am I really reacting in this way? Because oftentimes it's not actually what is going on. It's something a lot deeper, and it's triggering something typically from the past.
Mm-hmm.
So really understanding it and getting to the bottom of it is the most important thing. Otherwise, you're only ever just gonna, in my opinion, band-aid something and work with the symptoms as opposed to the bottom, the core of it. And when you do that, it just changes everything. Your relationship gets better, it gets easier, and you feel so much better. And you'll even find yourself in a situation where maybe your partner does something or they say something or whatever, and you think, whoa, like that would have triggered me so much more, but now you're able to actually like deal with it so rationally, or it just won't bother you, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so worth it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what I've learned from my mindfulness and meditation journey, one of my mentors said to me, if there's a trigger, it's because there's an unhealed energy underneath it, right? There's an unhealed wound or a core wound, which
Totally.
could stem from childhood or past life or whatever. It doesn't matter. So because there's not going to be that grip and that pull and that energy if it's healed. Like you said, you get to a point where you're like, oh, that I would normally react to that, or that would normally bother me, but I'm actually feeling fine. And so that's the barometer, isn't it, of how much healing work needs to be done on something, is that intensity of that trigger. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all to do with how reactive you feel to it. And once you do deal with that, when, at least in my situation, when I really dealt with my relationship anxiety, because I really experienced that, now when things actually do come up with my partner that are actually warrant a discussion or warrant an argument or whatever, that they're more meaningful because we're not just having fights all the time. So if you're constantly bickering, constantly fighting and all this stuff, it diminishes the real stuff. It diminishes when things actually need to be discussed, and it makes it so much more powerful, and you're able to have far better communication when you're just arguing or discussing things that actually matter, and are actually important to talk to, because every relationship has arguments, every relationship has shit, of course, but it allows you to actually pick your battles and communicate far more effectively and from such a more rational place. So there's just so many benefits to dealing with it. And as you said, it is absolutely a big self-worth thing. Big self-worth thing. If we truly feel worthy, we're not reading into every little thing. We're not questioning somebody's love because, well, I'm lovable. Of course they love me. If they tell me that they don't love me, then okay, I'll accept that. But I am lovable, so I'm worthy of that. So you don't need to seek that reassurance so much if you do know that and you can reassure yourself.
Great. Yeah. I think I'm just trying to think of what another question I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
So okay. So let's say, both people are healing themselves and working on themselves and working on the relationship, because it does take two, right? To want to have a conscious relationship, to want to work on themselves whilst holding space for the other person, who has probably different triggers to them. So it takes empathy as well, and patience and kindness, really. So let's just say you've met your soulmate, you're in this heart-centered, beautiful, conscious relationship. How else do you keep that going? What are some things that you can do to really have the best relationship possible?
I think it is absolutely both parties willing to do the work on themselves, to become the best version of themselves. And the way that I guess that benefits the relationship is just like a bonus, like a happy bonus. I think, yeah, doing that work on yourself um, is so important, and to continually do that. I think you're never just like fully like healed and great and whatever. Like I think it's lifelong journey of growing and developing as individuals. I don't think I don't believe in two halves making a whole. I think two wholes need to come together, and be the best that you can be for yourself and for your partner. Um, but I think communication is everything, and it's such a cliche. It's like communication, but it's a cliche because it's true. I think so often we don't communicate with our partners. We don't um, let them in on what's going on for us, and we kind of just expect them to know and to guess, and that's it's setting yourself and your partner up for so much failure. So I think communication is everything, and learning communication styles that work for your relationship as well. It's really important to learn what your partner is really responsive to, what way that you can communicate, say, a grievance or something that's going on with you in a way that they'll respond to really well, and just learning those communication styles. Um, so I would say communication is the biggest thing, but doing the internal work on yourself to be able to show up for your partner as your best self. And hopefully, by doing that, you kind of, you know, almost force each other to be the best versions of yourself. And I think that's kind of the most important thing with relationships is to make each other better, make each other just the best versions of each other that you can. And if you find that someone makes you a worse version of yourself, or you don't like who you are with this person, maybe that's something that, you need to address. Yeah, I think that's really important. And like you say, showing up consciously, like giving your relationship like conscious intention of how you want to treat it, and how you want to have a relationship, and not just allowing everything to be so on autopilot. Actually having conscious intention behind how you navigate it.
Yeah, cool.
So,
Yeah, and
that's what I would say.
yeah, great. That's beautiful. And so I just had the thought about communication and speaking your truth, and I guess that brings up vulnerability for people, and then maybe that's why sometimes people push it down, or they think, I don't want to share that because it makes me feel vulnerable. But if you really want to have an intimacy in your relationship, you've got to go there, right? You've got to be able to be in your heart and be with the uncomfortable feelings and open up, because someone who really loves you will hold you in that space. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And vulnerability is scary. And, you've got to be able to Like, vulnerability is amazing, but you've got to feel comfortable with the person that you're being vulnerable with, and you've got to be sure, at least mostly sure, that the person that you're with is going to meet your vulnerability with understanding and empathy. And yeah, so you can't just be vulnerable with anyone. You've got to be, you've got to trust them, and I guess that takes a while. Um, so learning to trust, learning who to trust, that's all about it as well, because vulnerability is key to everything. But you got to feel safe to do that, I suppose.
Good point.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, great.
It's a big one. It's a
It
big
is. This is
Brene
a
Brown
great
thing.
top. Oh, yeah, totally. Like that was a game
Yeah.
changer, that TED talk on
Oh,
shame
she's
and
amazing.
vulnerability. And her, one of the
Mm.
main points in that was you need to embrace vulnerability if you want to live a wholehearted life. If you want to
Yeah.
have a beautiful, amazing, heart-connected, happy, joyful life, vulnerability is part of it. It's
Yeah,
a
a
non-negotiable.
big part of it. Yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is. But it's scary, but it is worth it 100%. And
Yeah.
people will surprise you by how they respond, Most
Yeah.
good, decent people will respond, really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes you just got to take the leap.
Cool.
Mm.
Yes. So what else is front
Yeah.
of mind for you these days? Any other insights you'd love to share?
That's a good question. What else is front of
What did we have on
mind?
the list?
Mm,
Um,
I
yeah.
think mostly it's just, I just think a lot about, just what's on the other side of people's blocks. And I think there's so much life to be lived and to be enjoyed, and there's so much potential to be reached. Um, Once you really deal with those blocks, and once you kind of just like smash them down, and when I talk about blocks, it's subconscious blocks, those inner belief systems that we have that are just kind of getting in our way. Um, I think about that a lot, and I I just want everyone to, I guess, know that there is so much on the other side of the blocks that you have. You just gotta really, put in the work to deal with them. And I think hypnosis is the best way to do it, because we're directly accessing that subconscious mind, and we're able to make changes so quickly. Um, so yeah, I often just think and hope that people know that if they are struggling, that there is so much beyond their blocks, and so much light at the end of the tunnel for them if they make that choice to deal with those subconscious beliefs. And we all have them, that we need to deal with, and it's a choice that we have to make. I think maybe people don't sometimes know that they have that choice, but you do have a choice.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I think about that a lot, and I hope that that kind of comes across in my messaging, because that's kind of the biggest thing. It's like you could just idle through life, but you could also thrive, and like, let's get you thriving, which is really exciting for me.
Yeah, that's great. And that feels so empowering. And yeah, we do have
Mm,
a choice. Yeah. So it's remembering that as well. It's almost like sometimes we have all these different all this white noise around us, from different
mm,
sources, people, places, things, environments, media. It's all
mm,
there. It's just all around you, and you've just got to sometimes
mm,
just completely unplug and just question, is this true for me? Is this my belief? Is this my
mm,
thought? Or is this conditioning or someone else's idea of what is right for me? Because really
mm,
we are the best. We know what's best for us. We just need to listen to that
mm,
and really go deeper into that
absolutely.
and feel deserving of that and
Mm,
keep working on that self-worth. That's a big one.
mm. It's a big one. Self-worth is everything.
Yeah. Well, so what other ways can people increase that then? If that's underneath it all, what's some, just one other,
Mm.
way that's worked for
My
you?
mind always goes to understanding why you don't feel worthy, because a lot of the time where these beliefs are created, they're not even created in any any form of truth, any form of, solid foundations. They're something that you've picked up along the way that's just not even relevant, or not even relevant to your life at the moment. Like, it's just not a thing, but we picked it up so long ago. And, in the way that beliefs work, it's like, we'll just keep them. We will just keep them because that's easier. Um, so understanding why you have those beliefs, tracing it back, even journaling about it. I'm feeling this way. When was the first time I felt this way? When did I, first really come to believe this, and kind of getting to the bottom of that and asking yourself, okay, is that even true? Like, is there any basis to this? Is there any foundation to this actually being truth? And I would argue most of the time it's absolutely not. So yeah, understanding why, I think, is the biggest step.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, what we'll do now is, so in one word, what's your definition of success?
Ooh. Fulfillment.
Great. That's good. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's like deeper than happiness. Well, it's slightly different than happiness, isn't it? Fulfillment, because happiness is quite fleeting, but fulfillment is like a deeper, you've put your all in, and it's at the end of the day, and you get into bed and you're like, I've given it my all today, and I feel like I deserve that happiness, and it's not that you have to struggle or suffer for it. It's more like, that you've really, sort of started to expand into your potential that bit more. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's that feeling of just like, almost contentedness, I would say.
Oh, beautiful. Well, lovely to reconnect with you. And and so where can my listeners find you and work with you now?
You can find me on Instagram at Hypnosis by Lilli, and you can find all my links from there, really.
Yeah, cool. And just book in a Zoom and just clear those subconscious blocks, and just look, I know I've got a lot from working with you. So yeah, 100%. I'm a testimonial, and yeah, definitely. So that's cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks for coming back.
I'm glad. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, enjoy van life.
I will. I will. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.